The lights on the Valoran science vessel Gentle Dream flickered and died. Then they came back, weaker than before. Elder Mirith watched the emergency power struggle to keep her people alive. Around her, 847 refugees huddled in the cargo holds, their thin bodies pressed together for warmth. The attack had come without warning. 12 Keth Raider ships had appeared from behind a dead moon. They had disabled the Gentle Dream's engines with their first shots. Now they circled like predators, waiting for the right moment to board. Mirith's hollow bones ached. Her people, the Valorans, were not built for war. They were small, fragile, with wings meant for gliding through the warm winds of their home world. That world was dying now, poisoned by a shifting sun. These refugees were some of the last survivors. And now they would die here, in the cold dark between stars. "Elder," said Novice Tilleris, her voice shaking, "the Keth are demanding we open the airlocks. They say they will take our supplies. And our young ones." Mirith closed her large eyes. The Keth were slavers. Everyone knew this. They took children from a weaker species and sold them to the mining corporations in the outer systems. A Valoran child could work in small spaces. They were valuable. "How long until our distress signal reaches anyone?" Mirith asked. "It has reached many ships already," Tilleris said. "None are responding." Of course they were not responding. This sector of space had no law. The species who lived here had learned a simple truth. Helping others got you killed. The Keth Raider fleet would destroy anyone who tried to interfere. No one wanted to die for strangers. Mirith looked at the communication panel. There was one more option. One signal she had never thought she would send. "Open the Deathworlder channel," she said. "TILR is froze." "Elder, no. We cannot." "The humans, open it." Tilleris's feathers flattened against her skull in fear. But she obeyed. The Deathworlder channel was a frequency that connected to Earth's military network. It was meant for emergencies so terrible that only the most dangerous species in the galaxy could help. The humans. Mirith had never seen a human in person. She had only heard stories. They came from a world of crushing gravity, where the air itself was poison to most species. They ate the flesh of other creatures. They could run for hours without stopping. Their bodies healed from wounds that would kill anyone else. And they felt no pain. At least, that was what the story said. Mirith pressed the transmission button. "This is Elder Mirith of the Valoran vessel Gentle Dream. We are under attack by Keth Raiders. We have 847 civilians aboard, including 112 children. Our engines are destroyed. Life support is failing. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." She released the button. The message flew out into the void. In the cargo holds, the refugees heard nothing. They only knew that the lights were dying, and the Keth ships were getting closer. Far across the sector, the human dreadnought Iron Promise cut through space at patrol speed. It was a massive ship, built for war. Its hull was covered in armor plates designed to survive impacts that would shatter lesser vessels. Its weapons could crack a moon in half. Lieutenant Yunhana sat at the communication station, monitoring routine traffic. She was young, with sharp eyes and quick hands. Most of her shift was boring. Ships reported their positions. Stations sent weather updates. Nothing important. Then the signal came through. Anna listened to Elder Mirith's voice. She heard the fear. She heard the numbers. 847 civilians. 112 children. Keth Raiders. She pulled up the tactical data. The Gentle Dream was 4 hours away at maximum speed. The Keth fleet numbered 12 ships. Standard protocol said the Iron Promise should wait for backup. One dreadnought against 12 raiders was not good odds. Hana stood and walked to the command chair. Captain Park J1 was reviewing supply reports when she approached. He was a tall man with gray at his temples and calm eyes. He had been a captain for 15 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He had buried too many of his crew to count. "Captain," Hana said, "we have a distress call." She showed him the data. He read it in silence. His face did not change. "Time to intercept?" He asked. 4 hours at maximum speed. Enemy strength? 12 Keth raiders. Mixed classes. At least 3 heavy gunships. Park was quiet. Around him, the bridge crew worked at their stations. They did not know what was happening yet. They would learn soon. First Officer Beek Teho stepped closer. He was older than Park, with a scarred face and careful movements. He had served on warships since he was 18 years old. "Captain," Beek said quietly, "protocol says we should call for support. We are 1 ship. I know what protocol says. 800 civilians," Beek continued. "If we fail, we cannot save them. And we lose the Iron Promise. We lose our crew." Park nodded slowly. He understood the math. He had done this calculation before, many times. Sometimes the numbers said stay. Sometimes the numbers said go. But numbers were not everything. He looked at the distress signal on the screen. A Valoran elder, begging for help. Children in the cargo holds, waiting to be taken as slaves. And no one was coming, except 1 ship had heard the call. "Helm," Park said. "Set course for the Gentle Dream. Maximum speed." The bridge went quiet. "Sir," Beek said. "Are you certain?" Park stood from his chair. He looked at his crew. They were watching him, waiting. Some were afraid. Some were ready. All of them trusted him. "They called for help," Park said simply. "We answer." Lieutenant Yunhana returned to her station. Her hands moved across the controls, sending the confirmation signal. Somewhere out there, Elder Mirith would know that someone was coming. The Iron Promise turned. Its massive engines flared with power. The stars shifted as the ship changed course in the cargo hold of the Gentle Dream. A young Valoran technician saw something on his damaged sensors. A single ship, moving fast. Very fast. "Elder Mirith," he called out. "Someone is coming?" Mirith hurried to look. She saw the ship's identification code. Human, Earth military. Dreadnought class. "What does it mean?" Tilris asked, her voice trembling. "Are they coming to help us?" Mirith did not answer. She could not answer. The humans were Deathworlders, the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. And now one of their warships was racing toward them at maximum speed. Some of the refugees began to weep. They did not know if they were being saved or doomed. Mirith watched the sensor screen. The human ship was still 4 hours away. The Keth raiders were much closer. It would be a race. She closed her eyes and made a prayer to the old gods of her dying world. "Please," she thought. "Let the stories be wrong. Let the humans be more than monsters." The Iron Promise flew on, cutting through the dark like a blade. On the bridge, Captain Park J1 sat back in his chair and waited. He had made his choice. Now he would see it through. 12 enemy ships. 1 dreadnought. 847 lives hanging in the balance. The math was bad. But Park had never been good at walking away. First Officer Beek stood beside him, saying nothing. There was nothing left to say. They were going to war. The cargo hold of the Gentle Dream was cold and dark. The refugees pressed together, sharing body heat. Mothers wrapped their wings around their children. The elderly sat in silence, too tired to speak. Novice Tilris moved through the crowd, checking on the wounded. There were many. When the Keth attacked, the ship had shaken so hard that bones had broken. The Valoran bones were hollow, like a bird's. They broke easily. A young mother grabbed Tilris's arm. "Is it true?" She asked. Humans are coming? Tilris hesitated. Yes, a human warship answered our call. The mother's eyes went wide with fear. Then we are dead. The humans will eat us. They will take our children for their experiments. I have heard the stories. Others nearby began to whisper. The stories spread through the cargo hold like fire. Everyone knew about humans. Everyone had heard the tales. Humans came from a death world. Their planet had crushing gravity that would flatten a Valoran in seconds. Their atmosphere was thick with poison gases. Their sun burned so bright it could blind you. On this terrible world, the humans had evolved to survive. They ate meat torn from dead animals. They drank water that would kill most species. They could run for entire days without stopping. Their bodies healed from wounds that should be fatal, and they felt no pain. That was the worst part. A human could lose an arm and keep fighting. They could be burned, stabbed, shot, and still they would not stop. They are monsters, an old man said. We call monsters to save us from monsters. Tilris looked at her feet. She did not know what to say. The stories were all she knew about humans. She had never met one, but Elder Marith had. The older made her way through the crowd. Her wings were folded tight against her back, and her steps were slow. But her voice was strong. Listen to me, Marith said. All of you, listen. The cargo hold went quiet. I have met humans, Marith said. Once, long ago. I was young then. Our trading vessel broke down near the edge of human space. We were stranded for 12 days. She paused, remembering. A human ship found us. We were terrified. We thought they would kill us. But they did not. They gave us food from their own supplies. They gave us water. They worked on our engines until they were repaired. They asked for nothing in return. But the stories, someone said. The death world. The hunting. The eating of flesh. Marith nodded. All true. Humans are dangerous. They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But dangerous does not mean evil. She looked around at the frightened faces. A knife is dangerous. Fire is dangerous. But both can save your life if used the right way. Tilris stepped forward. How do you know they will help us? Maybe they answered the call because they want something. Perhaps, Marith said. We will find out. But I would rather face humans than Keth. The Keth want to take our children as slaves. The humans... She spread her thin hands. The humans might surprise us. The refugees were not convinced. But they had no choice. The Keth were coming. The humans were coming. All they could do was wait far away. The Iron Promise pushed through space at speeds that would tear lesser ships apart. Inside, the crew prepared for battle. Chief Medical Officer Shin the Jun stood in the medical bay, reading everything she could find about Valoran biology. They were fragile creatures. Hollow bones, small lungs, hearts that could stop from fear alone. We need to be careful, she told her staff. When we bring the refugees aboard, no sudden movements. No loud voices. Move slowly. Speak softly. If we scare them, some of them might actually die from the fear. A young medic frowned. Die from fear? Is that possible? For Valorans, yes. Their hearts are not like ours. A strong enough shock can stop them. Shin checked her supplies. We need soft lights in the recovery rooms. Warm temperatures. And no one touches a Valoran without permission. Their culture considers touch very personal. The medical team listened carefully. They had treated many species before. They knew that what worked for humans did not always work for others. In the weapons bay, Gunnery Sergeant Oh Dong-woo ran final checks on the main guns. He was a large man with thick arms and a shaved head. He had been shooting ship weapons for 20 years. 12 Keth Raiders, he said to his team. That's a lot of targets. We'll need to be fast. Can we take them all? A young gunner asked. Dongwu smiled. One-on-one, a Keth raider is nothing. Their weapons are weak. Their armor is thin. But 12 of them. That's a lot of firepower hitting us at once. He patted the main gun controls. Good thing we're not a regular ship. The Iron Promise was a dreadnought. It was built to fight against impossible odds. Its armor could take hits that would destroy cruisers. Its guns could punch through anything, but Dongwu knew that armor could fail. Guns could miss. Wars were won by skill and luck, not just size. He looked at his team. When the fighting starts, stay focused. Pick your targets. And don't stop shooting until they're all dead or running. On the bridge, Captain Park J1 watched the countdown timer. 3 hours until they reached the Gentle Dream. 3 hours until the battle began. First, Officer Beak approached him. The crew is ready. Weapons are armed. Medical bay is prepared for casualties. Good. Park's eyes stayed on the screen. What about the Keth? Any movement? They're still circling the Valoran ship. They haven't boarded yet. Probably waiting for the refugees to get weaker. Park nodded. The Keth were patient hunters. They liked their prey exhausted and helpless. It made the taking easier. They don't know we're coming, Beak said. We could use that. Hit them before they're ready. They'll know soon enough. Park stood and walked to the main view screen. When we drop out of faster than light travel, every sensor in the sector will see us. We're not a small ship. Should we call for backup? No time. By the time anyone else arrives, the Valorans will be dead or taken. Park turned to face his first officer. We do this alone. Beak was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. He had served with Park for many years. He knew the captain would not change his mind. At the communication station, Lieutenant Yoon Hana monitored the sector. She picked up a new transmission. The Keth raiders talking to each other. Captain, she said, I'm reading Keth communications. They know something is coming. They're debating whether to board now or wait. Can they identify us? Not yet. They just know something big is heading their way. Park smiled slightly. Let them wonder. An hour passed. Then 2. The Iron Promise drew closer. On the Gentle Dream, Elder Mirith felt the temperature dropping. Life support was failing faster now. The children were shivering. How much longer? She asked the young technician. 1 hour. Maybe less. Mirith looked at the sensor screen. The human ship was a bright dot, moving fast. The Keth raiders were 12 smaller dots, circling like vultures. In 1 hour, everything would change. She did not know if her people would live or die. But at least they were not alone anymore. Someone had answered the call. On the bridge of the Lieb Keth raider, Warlord Braxis received the sensor report. A large ship was approaching. Very large. What is it? He demanded. His sensor officer trembled. It appears to be human, a Dreadnought-class warship. Braxis felt something he had not felt in many years. A small twist of doubt in his stomach. He had killed humans before. He had taken human ships as prizes. But a Dreadnought was different. 1 ship, he said finally. Against 12. The humans are brave. But bravery does not win battles. He looked at his fleet on the tactical display. 12 ships. Thousands of warriors. More than enough to handle 1 human vessel. Prepare for combat, Braxis ordered. Let the Deathworlders come. We will teach them that the Keth fear nothing. His crew obeyed, but some of them exchanged worried glances when the warlord was not looking. They had heard the stories about humans too. The Iron Promise dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of light that lit up the sector. 1 moment, empty space. The next moment, 3,000 meters of human warship hanging between the Valoran vessel and the Keth fleet. On the bridge, Captain Park J1 did not move. His eyes scanned the tactical display. 12 enemy ships, 3 heavy gunships, 9 lighter raiders. They had arranged themselves in a half-circle around the Gentle Dream. All weapons locked. Gunnery Sergeant Oh Dongwoo reported from the weapons bay. Ready to fire on your command. Hold, Park said. Lieutenant Yoon Hana looked up from her station. Captain, the Keth are hailing us. Put them through. The view screen flickered. Warlord Braxis appeared. He was a large creature, covered in thick gray scales. His eyes were small and cruel. Behind him, his bridge crew watched with hungry expressions. Human Captain, Braxis said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. You have made a mistake. This prey belongs to the Keth. Leave now, and we will let you go. Park stood slowly. He straightened his uniform. When he spoke, his voice was calm. This is Captain Park J1 of the Earth military vessel Iron Promise. You are attacking civilians under my protection. You have one chance to withdraw. Take it, Braxis laughed. The sound was ugly. 1 ship against 12. You humans are brave, but you are not smart. I have killed your kind before. You die like anything else. Park said nothing. Your silence does not frighten me, Braxis continued. Attack us, and we will tear your ship apart. Then we will take the Valorans, anyway. And we will make sure they know it's your fault. Park looked at the warlord for a long moment. Then he reached out and ended the transmission. The bridge was silent. Helm, Park said. All ahead, full. Take us straight into their formation. First Officer Beak stared at him. Straight in? Sir, standard tactics say we should maintain distance. Use our range advantage. Standard tactics are for standard enemies. Park sat back in his chair. The Keth expect us to circle. They expect us to trade shots from far away. They are not ready for close combat. He looked at Beak. We are. Beak nodded slowly. He understood. Human ships were built differently. Human tactics were built differently. Where other species saw suicide, humans saw opportunity. All hands, Beak announced. Brace for combat. The Iron Promise surged forward. Its engines burned bright as it accelerated toward the Keth fleet. In the weapons bay, Gunnery Sergeant Oh Dongwoo watched the distance counter dropping. 10,000 meters. 8,000. 6,000. Closer, he muttered. Come on, closer. His gunners were ready. Their targeting systems were designed for exactly this, close combat. Most species could not aim properly when ships were moving fast and near. Humans could. Fire. Park's voice came through the speakers. Dong dash. Wu pressed the trigger. The Iron Promise opened up with everything it had. Main guns, side batteries, missile pods. The first Keth raider exploded before its crew could even scream. The second raider tried to turn away. Too slow. 3 shots hit its engine section, and it broke apart in a ball of fire. The third raider managed to fire back. Its shots hit the Iron Promise's forward armor. The ship shook, but kept moving. Minor damage to Section 7, someone reported. Armor holding. Captain Park did not blink. Continue attack pattern. Target the heavy gunships next. The battle became chaos. The Iron Promise flew through the Keth formation like a knife through cloth. Smaller raiders scattered to avoid being crushed. The heavy gunships tried to bring their big weapons to bear, but the human ship was too fast, too close. Dongwoo's gunners worked without pause. Target, fire, target, fire. Their hands moved automatically. Their eyes never stopped scanning. A heavy gunship exploded. Then another. On the Gentle Dream, the Valoran refugees watched through damaged sensors. They could not believe what they were seeing. That is not possible, Tilrus whispered. Ships do not fight like that. Elder Mirith said nothing. She simply watched. The human ship was taking hits. Its armor was scarred and burning in places. But it kept moving, kept firing, kept killing. It did not slow down. It did not retreat. It just kept coming. Warlord Braxis felt fear for the first time in decades. His fleet was falling apart. 4 ships destroyed in the first 2 minutes. 3 more heavily damaged. And the human ship was still coming. All ships, concentrate fire, he ordered. Focus on their engines. Slow them down. The remaining Keth ships obeyed. They stopped trying to run and started shooting at the Iron Promise together. Dozens of weapons fired at once. The human ship shuddered. Alarm lights flashed on bridges and in hallways. A whole breach opened in Section 12. 4 crew members were pulled into space before the emergency doors could seal. On the bridge, Park gripped his chair as the ship rocked. Damage report. Hull breach in Section 12, Beak said. 4 casualties. Engines at 80%. Weapons still operational. Park closed his eyes for a moment. 4 of his people dead. He would remember their names later. He would honor them properly, but not now. Now, there was work to do. Keep firing, he said. Don't stop until they're all destroyed or running. Lieutenant Hana worked at her station. Her fingers flew across the controls. Captain, I'm broadcasting on an open channel. Every ship in the sector can hear this battle. Park glanced at her. Why? If Braxis tries to run, everyone will know. His reputation will be destroyed. He'll have to stay and fight. A small smile crossed Park's face. Good thinking, Lieutenant. The battle continued. The Iron Promise was badly hurt now. Smoke filled some corridors. Fires burned in several sections. The crew fought to keep the ship running while the gunners fought to end the battle. Another Keth ship exploded. Then another. Braxis looked at his tactical display. 9 ships destroyed. Only 3 left, including his own. The human ship was damaged, yes, but it was still fighting, still killing. He had underestimated them. The stories were true. Humans were not like other species. They did not retreat when they were hurt. They did not stop when they should have fallen. They just kept fighting until the enemy was dead. All ships, retreat, Braxis ordered. His remaining ships turned and ran. Their engines flared as they fled into open space. The Iron Promise did not chase them. It could not. The damage was too great. The engines were failing, but the Keth were gone. The Valorans were safe. On the bridge, Captain Park let out a slow breath. Around him, his crew slumped in their seats. They were exhausted. They were hurt, but they were alive. Damage report, Park said. Full status. First Officer Beak pulled up the information. Engines at 60%. Multiple hull breaches sealed. Weapons at 40% capacity. He paused. 12 crew members confirmed dead. 23 wounded. Park closed his eyes. 12 names. 12 families he would have to write letters to. Note their names, he said quietly. We'll honor them when this is done. Lieutenant Hana turned from her station. Captain, the Gentle Dream is hailing us. Put them through. Elder Mirith's face appeared on the view screen. Her large eyes were wet with tears. Human Captain, she said. I do not have words. You saved us. You risked your ship, your people. So strangers. Park stood. His uniform was dusty, and there was a cut on his forehead he had not noticed. But his voice was steady. This is Captain Park J1. The Keth are gone. You're safe now. He paused. Please prepare for evacuation. We will dock with your vessel and bring you aboard. Maris nodded. She tried to speak again, but no words came out. Finally, she just bowed her head. The transmission ended. Park turned to his crew. They were watching him, waiting. "You all fought well today," he said. "I'm proud of every one of you. Now, let's bring those people home." The crew returned to their stations. There was still much work to do, but the worst was over. Outside, the stars were quiet again. The Keth Raiders were gone, fleeing into the dark. The broken pieces of destroyed ships floated in the void, and between the wreckage, the Iron Promise turned slowly toward the Gentle Dream, ready to complete the mission. The call had been answered. The docking tubes extended from the Iron Promise, like gentle fingers reaching for the damaged Valoran ship. Inside the human vessel, preparations were complete. Lights had been dimmed to 40%. The temperature had been raised to match Valoran preferences. Crew members had been given strict instructions. "Move slowly," Chief Medical Officer Shin the June reminded her team. "Speak softly. Do not touch anyone without permission. Some of these people have never seen a human before. They are terrified of us." The medical staff nodded. They wore soft shoes that made no sound. They spoke in near whispers. Everything was designed to be as gentle as possible. The airlock opened. The first Valorans came through slowly. They were small, barely reaching the chest of an average human. Their feathers were dull from stress and lack of food. Their large eyes darted everywhere, looking for threats. What they found surprised them. The humans were kneeling. All along the corridor, crew members had lowered themselves to the floor to appear smaller. They held blankets and water bottles in outstretched hands. No one made sudden movements. No one spoke above a whisper. An elderly Valoran male stopped at the entrance, staring. He had expected monsters. He had expected violence. Instead, he found gentle giants kneeling before him, offering comfort. A young human woman approached him slowly. She bowed her head and held out a blanket. "Please," she said softly, "you are safe now. Let me help you." The old Valoran took the blanket. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something else. Something he had not expected to feel. Gratitude. One by one, the refugees came aboard. Some were crying. Some were silent with shock. Children clutched their parents' wings, hiding their faces. The humans guided them gently, leading them to warm rooms with soft lights. Dr. Shin worked without rest. The wounded were many. Broken bones, damaged wings, shock, fear. She treated each patient with careful hands, explaining everything before she did it. "I need to check your arm," she would say. "May I touch you?" "I will be very gentle." The Valorans nodded, and she worked quickly but carefully. Her staff did the same. For hours, the medical bay was full of activity. In another part of the ship, Ensign Kim Sora walked through the corridors of the Gentle Dream. The rescue teams had found most of the refugees, but a few were still missing. Sora had volunteered to search the damaged sections. She moved carefully through dark hallways. Emergency lights flickered. Debris blocked some passages. The air was thin and cold. Then she heard it. A small sound. A whimper. Sora followed the noise to a storage room. The door was jammed. She pulled hard, using all her strength, and it finally opened. Inside, pressed into a corner, was a Valoran child. The child was young, maybe 4 or 5 years in human terms. Her feathers were pale blue, and her wings hung at wrong angles. Broken, Sora realized. Both wings were broken. The child saw her and screamed. A thin, high sound of pure terror. Sora froze. She did not move closer. She did not speak. She just stood in the doorway, hands at her sides, making herself as small as possible. The child kept screaming. Then the screams turned to sobs. Then the sobs turned to silence. Sora waited. Minutes passed. 5, 10. The child watched her with huge, frightened eyes. Sora did not move. Finally, Sora sat down on the floor. Not close to the child. Far away, near the door. She crossed her legs and rested her hands on her knees. The child watched her. Confused. Sora began to hum. A soft melody. A lullaby her mother had sung to her when she was young. The tune was simple and slow. The child's trembling began to ease. Just a little. Sora kept humming. She did not look directly at the child. She just sat there, making the gentle sound, showing that she was not a threat. After a long time, the child moved. Just a small movement. A shift towards Sora kept humming. Another movement. Closer. Then another. Finally, the child was near enough to touch. She reached out one small hand and pressed it against Sora's knee. Sora stopped humming. She looked at the child and smiled softly. "Hello," she said, keeping her voice very quiet. "My name is Sora. I'm here to help you." The child did not speak, but she did not run away either. "Your wings are hurt," Sora said. "Our doctors can fix them. Will you come with me? I will carry you if you want. Or you can walk. Whatever makes you comfortable." The child looked at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, she raised her arms. Ra picked her up gently. The child weighed almost nothing. Her hollow bones made her light as a bird. Sora held her carefully, supporting her damaged wings. "I've got you," Sora whispered. "You're safe now." She carried the child through the dark corridors, back to the Iron Promise. When they reached the medical bay, Dr. Shin took over with the same gentle care. "What's her name?" Shin asked. Sora shook her head. "She hasn't spoken." Shin nodded and began treating the child's wings. Sora stayed nearby, in case the child wanted to see a familiar face. Elsewhere on the ship, Elder Mirith found Captain Park in his ready room. He was sitting at his desk, reviewing damage reports. He looked tired. There were cuts on his hands and a bandage on his forehead. "Captain," Mirith said, "may I speak with you?" Park stood and gestured to a chair. "Of course. Please, sit." Mirith sat. Her old bones were grateful for the rest. She looked at the human captain, trying to understand what she saw. "I must ask you something," she said. "Why?" Park tilted his head. "Why what? Why did you come? You did not know us. We are not allies. We are not your people. The Keth fleet was 12 ships. You were one. You could have died. Your crew did die, some of them." She spread her thin hands. "Why would you risk everything for strangers?" Park was quiet for a moment. He looked at a small object on his desk, a warm photograph of a village by a river. "When I was a child," he said, "there was a flood. A great storm came, and the river rose too fast. My village was swept away. We lost everything. Our homes, our food, people I knew." He paused, remembering. "But then strangers came. People from other villages, other towns. They pulled us from the water. They gave us shelter. They shared their food. They stayed until we were safe." He looked at Mirith. "I never learned their names. I never got to thank them properly. But I never forgot what they did." He picked up the photograph and looked at it. "Someone helped us once. Now we help others. That's all." Mirith stared at him. She had expected something different. A strategic reason. A political advantage. Something she could understand. Instead, she found this. A simple truth. A simple kindness. "You are not what I expected," she said quietly. Park smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Most species say that when they meet us. I think they expect monsters. The stories say you are dangerous. We are dangerous. Very dangerous." Park set down the photograph. "But dangerous and cruel are not the same thing. A storm is dangerous, but a storm does not hate. It simply is what it is. He met her eyes. We are what we are. And what we are is people who answer when someone calls for help. Mirith felt tears forming in her eyes. She bowed her head. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for saving my people." Park reached out and very gently touched her shoulder. "You're welcome," he said. "Now, please rest. You've been through a lot. We'll take care of everything else." Mirith nodded. She rose and walked to the door. At the threshold, she turned back. "I will tell others," she said. "I will tell them who you really are." Park nodded. "Tell them whatever you want. Just tell them the truth." Mirith left. Park returned to his reports. In the medical bay, the child Valoran finally spoke. Her voice was small and quiet. "Pell," she said. "My name is Pell." Ensign Kimso-Ra smiled and held her hand. "Hello, Pell. It's nice to meet you." Outside the windows, the stars watched in silence as the humans continued their work. Caring for the wounded, feeding the hungry, comforting the afraid. Just as they had always done. Just as they always would. The journey to Valoran space took 6 days. During that time, something unexpected happened. The humans and the Valorans began to understand each other. It started with small things. A human crew member would sit quietly near a group of refugees, not speaking, just being present. After a while, the Valorans would start talking to each other, and then, slowly, to the human. Questions were asked. Stories were shared. The Valorans learned that humans were not monsters. They laughed at jokes. They cried at sad stories. They missed their families when they were far from home. They were strange and different in many ways, but they were people. Just like anyone else. The humans learned about the Valorans too. About their dying world and their long journey to find a new home. About their music, which was made entirely of whistles and hums. About their children, who were curious about everything and afraid of nothing once they felt safe. Little Pell became a favorite among the crew. Her wings were healing well, wrapped in special bandages that Dr. Shin had designed. She followed Ensign Kimso-Ra everywhere, watching everything with huge, wondering eyes. Sora taught her to play cards. A simple game with colorful pictures. Pell did not understand the rules, but she loved looking at the pictures. She would spread them out on the floor and arrange them in patterns that only made sense to her. "You have a gift," Sora told her. "You see beauty in things." Pell did not know what that meant, but she smiled anyway. On the 5th day, Elder Mirith asked to speak to Captain Park again. This time, she came with a gift. It was a small carving, made from a pale wood that came from the old Valoran home world. The carving showed a tall figure holding a smaller figure in its arms. A human holding a Valoran child. "This is for you," Mirith said. "Our artisan made it during the journey. It is a thank you from all of us." Park took the carving carefully. It was light and delicate, but strong. He could see the hours of work that had gone into it. "It's beautiful," he said. "Thank you." "No," Mirith said. "Thank you. You saved us. You asked for nothing in return. That is something we will never forget." Park placed the carving on his desk, next to the photograph of his childhood village. It fit perfectly there. On the 6th day, the Iron Promise arrived at Valoran Station 7. It was a large space station, home to many Valoran refugees from the dying world. When the human ship appeared on their sensors, there was confusion. Then alarm. Then, finally, wonder had spread. Everyone knew about the human ship that had fought 12 Keth raiders to save a civilian vessel. Everyone knew about the captain who had come when no one else would answer. The docking was smooth. The refugees prepared to leave. But there were tears, and not from sadness. Little Pell clung to Ensign Kim So-ra. "I don't want to go," she said. "I want to stay with you." Sora knelt down to look at her. Her eyes were wet, but she was smiling. "You're going home," she said. "That's a good thing. Your people need you. And someday, when you're grown up, maybe you'll help others, just like we helped you." Pell sniffed. "But what if I need you?" Sora reached into her pocket and pulled out one of the cards from their game. It was the prettiest one, with a picture of a bird flying through stars. "Keep this," she said. "And if you ever need help again—" She paused, then smiled. "Just call. We'll answer." Pell took the card and held it tight. Then she hugged Sora as hard as her small arms could manage. Sora hugged her back. One by one, the refugees left the Iron Promise and entered the station. Each one bowed to the human crew as they passed. Some spoke words of thanks. Some just nodded, unable to find words. The humans bowed back. Elder Mirith was the last to leave. She stood at the airlock and looked back at Captain Park, who had come to see her off. "What will you do now?" she asked. "Repairs first," Park said. "Then back to patrol. There are always more calls to answer." Mirith nodded slowly. "I will speak to the High Council. I will tell them what happened here. I will tell them who you really are." "And what will you tell them?" Mirith considered the question. "I will tell them that humans are dangerous, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But I will also tell them that danger is not the same as evil. And I will tell them that when we called for help, when no one else answered, the humans came." She paused. "I will tell them that perhaps we have been wrong about Deathworlders." Park smiled. "Perhaps." Mirith bowed low, a gesture of deep respect among her people. Then she turned and walked into the station. The airlock closed behind her. The Iron Promise departed an hour later. It was heading back to Earth space for repairs. The battle had damaged many systems, and the ship needed time to heal. Just like its crew, Captain Park sat on the bridge, watching the stars pass by. First Officer Beak sat beside him, reviewing reports. "Sir," Beak said, "I received a message from Fleet Command. They want a full report on the engagement with the Keth. I'll write it when we get home." Beak nodded. "They also sent a commendation. For the crew. For you," Park shook his head. "Give the commendation to the families of the crew we lost. They deserve it more than I do." Beak was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Yes, sir." 6 months later, another distress call echoed across the sector. A Tholian freighter was under attack by pirates. The ship was outnumbered and outgunned. There was no hope. But the captain of the freighter remembered the story he had heard. The story of the Valoran vessel. The story of the human ship that came when no one else would. He opened a channel to the Deathworlder frequency. Within hours, a human patrol ship answered. The pirates fled before the battle even began. They had heard the stories to in her new home on Valoran Station 7. Little Pell kept the card that Sora had given her. She looked at it every night before she slept. The bird flying through stars. A reminder that somewhere out there, someone would always answer if she called. Elder Mirith wrote a book about her experience with the humans. It was translated into 100 languages and read across the galaxy. The title was simple. They answered. Some species did not believe the stories. They thought the Valorans were exaggerating. Humans could not be so dangerous and so kind at the same time. It did not make sense, but slowly, the truth spread. And when new distress calls went out into the darkness, more and more species began to include one special channel in their broadcasts, the Deathworlder channel, because they knew. Now, they knew that somewhere in the galaxy, there were beings who came from a death world. Beings who were built for survival. Beings who were the most dangerous creatures anyone had ever seen. And they knew that these beings, these humans, would always answer the call. On the bridge of his new ship, Captain Park J1 received a message from Elder Mirith. It was a simple thank you, accompanied by a picture of Pell, healthy and smiling, holding the card Sora had given her. Park looked at the picture for a long time. Then he placed it on his desk, next to the carving, next to the photograph of his village. A collection of reasons. A collection of purposes. The door opened. First Officer Beak stepped in. Captain. New distress call. Mining colony, Outer Rim. Unknown attackers. Park stood. He straightened his uniform. He looked at the picture of Pell one more time. Then he walked onto the bridge. Set a course, he said. Maximum speed. The ship turned toward the stars, and the story continued.